A lot of people confuse being busy with being productive. They answer messages, they check emails, they jump between tasks, and they barely sit down for 8 hours straight. And at the end of the day, they're exhausted. But when you ask them what they accomplished during the day, they can't tell you. Does that sound familiar? Productivity is not about effort. It's not about hours. And it's certainly not about how full your schedule is. Productivity is about impact. It's about results. 1 hour spent on the right thing can matter more than 10 hours spent reacting. But most of us were never taught that. A lot of us were taught that working hard means being busy, that full calendars are good, that responding fast means you care. So we fill our days with motion, but motion isn't direction. You can run all day and still go nowhere. Real productivity asks a different question, not if you stayed busy, but instead, if you actually moved something important forward. And once you see that difference, you start noticing why you're always busy but never productive. Let's start by talking about fake productivity. This is the stuff that feels like work, but doesn't actually create much value. Emails, messages, meetings, checking tools, organizing things that don't need organizing. These tasks are seductive. They're easy to start. They give quick feedback. They make you feel responsible. You answer an email and think, okay, that's done. You sit in a meeting and think, well, at least I showed up. You clear notifications and feel productive for a moment. But here's the problem. Most of this work is reactive. You're responding to other people's priorities, other people's timelines, other people's urgency. And when your entire day is reactive, you never get around to the work that actually changes your own life. The deep work, the creative work, the uncomfortable work, the work with no instant reward. Fake productivity keeps you busy enough to feel useful, but distracted enough to avoid what really matters. And the worst part? At the end of the day, you're too tired to do the real work anyway. So you tell yourself that you'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and the cycle repeats. But that's only the first reason. The second reason you're always busy but never productive is simple. You don't have clear priorities, or more accurately, you have too many. Everything feels important, everything feels urgent, so nothing truly stands out. When you start your day without a clear priority, you default to whatever is loudest. Notifications win, requests win, small tasks win, because they're easy to justify. But here's something uncomfortable for you. If everything is important, then nothing actually is. Productive people aren't better at doing more things. They're better at choosing fewer things. They decide in advance what actually matters today. Not what's loud, not what's easy, not what makes them look busy, but what creates real progress. Without priorities, your brain stays in decision mode all day. What should I do next? What about this? What if I forget that? And so on. That constant deciding drains your energy. So by the time you reach the task that actually matters, you're already mentally spent. And then you blame yourself for lacking discipline. But the real issue wasn't discipline. It was clarity. The third reason is one most people underestimate. And it is that you don't protect your focus. You try to do meaningful work in the leftover scraps of time. Between messages, between meetings, between interruptions. But deep work doesn't happen in fragments. It needs space. It needs quiet. It needs time without input. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a cost. Every notification pulls you out of thought, and every interruption resets your focus. So even if you technically spend hours working, very little of that time is actually deep and focused effort. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't protect your focus, no one else will. The world is designed to interrupt you. Think about it. Every app wants your attention. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and all other apps are designed to keep you on their platforms as long as they can. The people around you probably want you to answer their texts fast, am I right? And most systems reward availability. That means that your focus has to be defended. So without protected focus time, important work gets pushed to later, and later never comes. Now let's connect the dots. You start your day without a clear priority, so you default to reactive tasks. Those tasks feel productive but don't create impact. They also drain your energy. Because you don't protect focus time, the real work keeps getting delayed. By the end of the day, you're exhausted but not fulfilled. And that's why being busy feels so frustrating. You're giving effort, but you're not seeing any result. But the solution to all this is actually probably simpler than you think. One of the many strategies anyone can use to define one high-impact task per day. Not 5 or a random list of 20 things, just one. One task that, if completed, it makes the day a win. Something that moves your life, your work, or your goals forward in a real way. Ask yourself this question in the morning. If I only finished one thing today, what should it be? That's your high-impact task. Then do something even more important. Protect time for it. Put it on your calendar, turn off notifications, close extra tabs. Even 60 to 90 minutes of real focus can change everything. You'll still do emails, you'll still handle messages, you'll still have responsibilities. Unfortunately, you can't fully escape those, but at least every day will be productive to some degree. You do the important thing first, and here's what happens when you do this consistently. You start ending days feeling satisfied, not just tired. You see progress you can actually point to. You rebuild trust in yourself. Because you're no longer just busy, but you're productive. This is true if you take that time to focus to the gym to get in better shape. This is true if you take that time to study deep and truly get ready for your exams or just basic knowledge in general. It can be true for a business or side hustle you're managing, where you take those focus hours to truly fix one problem at the time or improve one system at the time. In any case, at least 60 minutes of deep and focused productive work can only be beneficial to you. Once you are in deep focus mode, sometimes, especially in the beginning, you might be tempted to go back to being distracted. For example, you might want to go scroll on your phone for 5 minutes, or just put a small music in the background. But remember that any distraction breaks the compound effects of consistent deep focus. So when these temptations occur, if they do, a few things you might want to do is to remember the pain associated with not doing the deep work. For example, remember or imagine how harder it will be to fix that business problem tomorrow if you don't fix it now, or how you'll have to spend more hours on those homework the day before the exam if you don't do it now. Another thing you can do is to think about the positive of the outcome. For example, how satisfied you'll sleep tonight, or how watching your Netflix series later won't feel like a cheat. Imagine how when you get that business doing even better, how easier it will be to manage your time or even make your ex jealous. The point is to remain focused no matter what, especially when you're new to uninterrupted work, because it can be hard, and do not hesitate to use mental tricks on you that you know will keep you on track. The key takeaway is this. This isn't about doing more, but about doing what matters. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't need more motivation, and you certainly don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. like an influencer. You simply need clarity and focus, and you need the courage to let small things wait. Being busy feels safe and being productive feels uncomfortable at first. But being productive is what changes most people's lives. CEOs don't do 10 things per day, they just do a few high-impact things. As well as professional athletes, don't do 10 sports at the time but focus on one only, and so on and so on. You probably get the point by now. If this video helped you see your time a little differently, click on one of the videos on your screen right now to see similar content. I'll see you there.